Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and welcome to the virtual panel discussion live from Panelists in Riyadh, presented by QRC Assurance and Solutions with media partner CXO Junction on the topic Adapting to Change, Implementing KSA's Personal Data Protection Law. This panel of expertise will provide valuable insight on regulatory compliance, emerging threats, and strategies to enhance data protection in the industry. We are also excited to have a quiz at the end of the session where you can test your knowledge and win some exciting goodies. So let's dive in. Without further ado, let me introduce you all to the esteemed panelists for today. We have Mr. Naif Alharbi, who is the Director IT at Mitsubishi Electric Saudi Limited, a seasoned IT professional with over 14 years of rich experience in managing a wide range of IT solutions. His expertise spans software development, networking, infrastructure, cybersecurity, and leadership across critical enterprise applications such as ERP, CRM, and HRS. We are also joined with Mr. Asim Badhuralam from Sanabel Al Salam Food Manufacturing Company, who is a visionary IT leader with over 20 years of experience in defining and executing impactful IT strategies. With a unique blend of entrepreneurial mindset, financial acumen, and deep technical expertise, he has consistently driven business value through innovative digital transformation initiatives. And we have Mr. Khalid Alghamdi, co-founder from Large Dimensions Investment Co. He's someone whose passion lies in taking businesses from good to truly great. With over 20 years of experience in trading and business development, Khalid has successfully established multiple business units from the ground up and led a wide range of high impact products. And we are also joined with our solution expert, Mr. Vamsi Krishna Maramganti, founder and CEO at QRC Assurance and Solutions with over 20 years of extensive experience in information security, data privacy, and security compliance audits. He has a proven track record of building and retaining high performance teams and helping enterprises and SMEs protect themselves against internal and external cyber threats. And I would also like to introduce our moderator, Sejal Shibe, AVP of Cyber and Operations at Cyberfrat. She is a dynamic leader known for fostering team collaboration, driving innovation, and achieving exceptional results through effective communication and strategic decision making. So I would like to hand over the stage to Sejal Shibe. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Aditi, and very happy to see a lot of people, live right now with us. Thank you, Team QRC, for arranging this session. And I would like to request all the panelists to please turn on their cameras so that we can start with the discussion without any further adues.
Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
we can see Mr. Khalid. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Hi
Mr.
everyone, good afternoon and salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam, حياك الله نايف.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Asim, and I'm unable to connect my video, so we can just proceed further.
حياك الله
Problem,
Asim.
Mr. Asim, no problem. So let's hear it from the audience. How is everyone doing? And a quick maybe some messages in the chat. We want all of you to be very active throughout this discussion. We have experts from Riyadh with us, and we do not want a single dull moment today. So in the chat, let's put a hi, hello. Right? I can't see the chat. Are the messages coming, or is the chat off? Can someone confirm, team?
Yes, the people are showing excitement, Sejal.
Okay, that's fine too. Okay, so I can see a lot of emojis on the screen now. That is good excitement to start the panel. So adapting to change, implementing KSA's personal data protection law, right? This is the topic for today's discussion. We have all the experts present with us. So PDPL, right? The Personal Data Protection Law. PDPL, we are going to use this abbreviation a lot in this discussion today. It is in Saudi Arabia that has come into force on September 14th, 2023, after being initially issued in September 2021 and amended in March 2023. Organizations had a 1 year grace period for compliance ending on September, and this heralding a new chapter in data privacy. The PDPL sets stringent standards for businesses across sectors. So for the audience, what's in it for you from this today's discussion is that you can understand PDPL essentials and what the new regulations mean for your organization. You will get practical insights from the experts and solution providers. You will also learn the best practices on compliance, data governance, and risk management. So Aditi has already introduced the panel. We have amazing experts, their experience that they will be sharing with you all. So let's dive in, right? I want to start with Mr. Naif. My question to you is, as a director of IT at a leading multinational, how do you interpret the biggest shifts the PDPL brings compared to other global data privacy frameworks such as EU's GDPR, and what does compliance mean for large enterprises operating in the kingdom?
Thank you, Seja, for this question, first of all, and thank you for the induction and welcoming us to this speaking event. So hopefully the listeners or the people who is attending this meeting or event to get the benefit of the knowledge that will be shared. First of all, regarding the BDPL, today let's talking about the advantage of this law in Saudi. Today we have to be understanding this is a huge benefit and a huge advantage for either the personal in the perspective of the individual person or in the business side, to protecting his data to be like shared outside without his, like an example, approvals, or like without the needed or the required we can say purposes. Today the biggest, or we can talking about because there is a two part of your question. First of all, regarding if there is any difference between the BDPL or the GDPR. The GDPR in AU, it is targeting and focusing on all the aspects in between the business and between the companies, which is either included the contracts, agreements, any, like an example, interest, we can say documentation, everything should be included in this law. But in Saudi, in the BDPL, only one thing which is included, which is the agreement only. There is multiple of variances here or difference in between the two laws, either this or this. And our requirement here in Mitsubishi, usually we are following both because we are multinational companies. In my like an example experience, we were working in health companies. We were following only the Saudi, but we are following also the aspect which is related to the healthcare. Talking about the difference in between JD and BD, first of all, which is related, the targeting documentation from both of them already highlighted. Also about the localization. In Saudi and the BDPL, it is required to localization the data in Saudi or should be hosted in cloud, which is hosted in Saudi. In GDPL, which is a GDPR, sorry, which is required to be hosted in any aspect in Europe, not in the place which is the data that operated in or used in. Also, there is the penalties issues or the violation, or like an example, the breach of the policies and the agreements. Once it is not followed, there is fees or penalties or fines that should be paid to the governments, either in Europe or Saudi. In Saudi, it is, I think, as a maximum, it is not crossing 5 million as a fixed number. But in Europe, it is from 1 to 5% of the like the invest or the fund of the companies or the business. So those huge requirement. This is the main component, or like an example, the difference in between both. Also, there is in Sadaya here or the BDPL. Sometimes it is required from you to hiring someone as a cybersecurity consultant, like an example, or like an example, advisor for protecting the data, to checking and making complying with the audit from their side or from third party side, to make sure that you are following the agreements and following the policies, which is this is not required in the GD in Europe. So this is, I believe, the main variances or the differences in between both of them. What you have to comply to, as mentioned, couple of them as a pillars in the difference. One of them, which is legalization, since the couple of years, which is from we can say 21, which is initiated in the beginning, it was optional. So from that time onwards, that was required to localize your data in Saudi. If you need to transfer it from Saudi to outside, you have to take the proper approvals, either from the people who is owning those data or the owner of this data, of those data, like an example, if it is personal or business wise. Also to getting some required approvals from SADAIA and the cybersecurity. To be compliance, if you need, like an example, to hosting those data with the vendor in Saudi, you have to be sure that they are complying with the cybersecurity regulation and policies. You have to checking and putting your plan in the GRC, and you have to showing this plan to SADAIA and PDPL aspects. Also, you have to watching and checking the updates from time to time, and the great thing that usually SADAIA, if you are following some agreements, usually SADAIA, they are sending those updates from time to time. So you have to checking these updates and to update it to your system. Also, there is one thing I believe, but I don't have experience in this. Alhamdulillah, we doesn't have any breach previously in this company or in the past companies. If there is any breach happen, you have to reporting this within limited time. I think from 48 hours to 70 hours to SADAIA, to avoiding the penalty or to avoiding some time to stopping some like licenses. Those the things which is highlighted in the policy and the compliance agreements from SADAIA, which is related to the PDPL.
Okay, that
I hope this has answered your question parts or all the parts. If there is any parts has been missed, let me know.
No, I think that was a solid start on how PDPL actually fits, into the global data protection puzzle. So now that we have, started with this, let's now look at how businesses on ground are actually coping with these changes. So my next question is to Mr. Khalid to understand, the ground reality from a business leadership and startup ecosystem standpoint. What challenges are you seeing when it comes to data inventory, cross-border transfer limitations, or obtaining valid consent under PDPL?
From business perspective, people are seeking money only as the first priority. And I believe for startups and SMEs, one of the most criteria about them is the agility. And we believe the most, let's say, challenging in this, how to comply and how to do this data mapping and so forth, as just Naif mentioned. I believe the balancing between the innovation and the compliance without killing the momentum and without killing the approach is one of the most challenges that, let's say, businesses are challenging, especially for those small, because it's contradicting with their agility and sometimes pushing back as they think. But we would say we would go always for start simple. Don't overwhelm, start simple, map the data flow at the beginning and try your best from the beginning, how to assign the data owners and how to make the priority with the high risk exposures. Maybe this the most challenges is how to balance the innovation and the agility with the compliance exercises and without getting out of the track.
Okay. So yeah, balancing innovation, agility, great points. I think that really highlights the startup ecosystem's challenges. Now coming to the cultural, aspect of compliance. Asim sir, over to you now. Governance frameworks often depend on internal awareness and accountability. So what strategies can organizations adopt to instill a privacy-first mindset across all the departments, especially in large IT infrastructure?
See, I am from manufacturing background. Generally, if you're asking like instilling a privacy first mindset across all the departments in any organization, not only in large IT infrastructures, if you come across Saudi Arabia, if a lot of organizations have started following PDPL, it requires like a blend of culture building, training, governance, and technical measures. In terms of PDPL law, actually, especially Saudi government is driven from the top. We are having like a complete national vision and local laws. So first strategy, what we need to go ahead with is align our privacy with national vision and local laws, like connect various initiatives with the Vision 2030 goals around digital trust, innovations, and at the same time, there is an NCA compliance is there, NCA regulation is there. So all our PDPL should be compliance with National Cyber Security Authority. So here, especially in terms of Saudi Arabia, if you see, technology is driven from the top. Even as per our, we have like a strong leadership endorsement from C level and as well as from our board. So the corporate culture, top-down influence is extremely important on this. Either the CEO, CIO, CISO should openly advocate for privacy programs, not just delegate them to compliance officers. So strong leadership endorsement from C level is very much required on these strategies. Apart from that, if you just see, localized awareness and training campaign should be required on these things, like providing Arabic language material and putting like local scenarios, not just importing like GDPR cases, but to have like a real examples from Saudi businesses or like government cases to make privacy real and urgent. And also we can also include like technology enabled data governance, where you could able to go ahead for various classification of data, data mapping and encryption tool to make it easy for team to handle personal data correctly across hybrid or cloud on-prem across the kingdom. And at the same time, here so in Saudi KSA, we are forced to go ahead for policies wherever it is possible. Either it is from the scratch or any government organizations or any manufacturing sectors or something like that, those things. So cyber security and privacy convergence is very much important, and there should be like a tight collaboration between cyber security team and privacy team in terms of finance sector, health sector, and energy. So these are all the things which I would like to emphasize on the strategy points and other things. So which will be very much important for the organization to proceed further on in terms of governance framework.
Correct. I think it's everybody's responsibility, culture truly, it is the foundation in any organization to have that mindset. So now, going to our next point, now let's understand how technology, when technology meets compliance. So Asim sir, the next question, actually, it's now we talked about the culture, but now coming to technology, what role does technology like now automation, data mapping tools, privacy impact assessments, what does they play in ensuring compliance with the PDPL? Can AI or security tools accelerate adoption while minimizing the human error, or what is your take on this?
Plays like a foundation role in ensuring compliance with Saudi PDPL law. Any organization, it require the laws requirements for data minimization, lawful processing, consent, either breach notifications or cross-border data handling. So all those things are going on here. Write the manual process. So here now comes the automation part, where the data mapping, privacy impact assessments, AI and cybersecurity tools directly support the PDPL compliance, and it reduces the human error. So apart from that, if you want to go ahead and just see, PDPL already has got started across all the organizations in terms of various in automations, data mapping, proactive risk evaluations. There are some various articles related to these things, like proactive risk evaluation. There is an article number 22. So in terms of even in terms of AI, it has made a major impact, and the kingdom is investing a lot on AIs. So as as Mr. Naif exactly informed us related to what all the various GDPR and other things. So here, AI-driven tools are very much important for various roles, like use machine learning to classify personal and sensitive data across the system and enhance the decision-making in real time. And so due to this, we will get larger benefits like reducing human oversight errors in permissions or data tagging or something related to those things. And then in terms of like privacy impact assessments, we did an assessment for our manufacturing sector. So what we did, we went for like complete risk of data processing activities like profiling or large scale monitoring. These are all the things which is required by PDPL. So due to this, we had like automated DPIA workflows so that there are no risky projects bypasses for our use or other things. And at the same time, AI plays an score risk and recommends the mitigation based on our context and other things. So these are all the various technology related things are supporting us on PDPL.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Indeed, Asim. Just I need to highlighting one thing, Sijal, regarding the information which is shared about the AI and the ML that's using in this for mapping either the data and processing the data. We have to considering one thing here. Usually, some of the data that should be that's required, which is right, is minimizing the effort or the time for, like an example, mapping the data or processing the data. But we have to considering one thing which is very high, we can say critical. Some of the tools, which is authorized tools in Saudi and also in the GCC or in the market, but if you back to their information or the information that they shared in the privacy of the data, they are mentioned that there is a copy of those data, like an example, in Australia, in US, in India, and somewhere else. So those information we have to consider it. Why? Because legally from Sadaya, you have to not keeping some time, you have to not keeping any copy outside the country regarding the PDPL without any exceptional approval, like an example, or the proper procedure that should be followed. So this is, should be considered once you are selecting the tool which you will using for reprocessing either the data or mapping your data or minimizing the effort or the time in managing your data. Thank you. Just this point which I need to highlight it.
Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Naif, related to these things. You're exactly right on these things. Since there are a lot of tools available in the market, if you see like Big ID is there, OneTrust is there, Colibra is there, there are like Trust ARC is there. So these are all the various data mapping and discovery tools available in the market. But we are ensuring that this data mapping tool should be the compliance with the PDPL laws, so that or this organization should have like a personal data lifecycle, all the processing, transfer, storage, everything should be in that based on the PDPL. I agree with you. Thank you.
Right, Asim. I'm just highlighting this just for our audience, just to not be confused. You know, some of the tools today, like an example, some of the end users, they're using like converting tools for PDF or something. Those tools sometimes storing those data, and in the end, those data, it is personal data, which is we didn't get, like an example, the approval to publish it in the website or the internet or on those things. Some of the audience, or like an example, individual peoples or the employees, they are not like aware about those hidden, we can say, information. But as a seniors and experts, yes, I'm sure that we are, as a colleagues, we are all knows about those information. Just to highlight it for the audience. Thank you, Asim.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Vamsi sir, now, I have one question for you. With organizations on regulatory compliance. So, what are some of the common gaps that you see from your perspective, in PDPA, the preparedness, and how does QRC support bridging those?
Okay. Thanks, Cyril. And I really, first of all, appreciate Naif and Asim and Khalid sir for their insights. You see, it's not about only the PDPL. Generally, in some blind spots is there still, while implementing this kind of privacy laws. The major issue is the data localization, particularly if you're talking about PDPL, KSA PDPL, then there is a lot of stress given on the data localization. Okay, just now, Mr. Naif and Asim sir is discussing about that. So this is one of the area, because nowadays it's a local companies, it is absolutely fine. But now because of the globalization, the companies are dependent on a lot of service providers. So first thing is, where is the data? If you take the cloud service providers, or if the company is using the cloud services, whether you can name it AWS or Azure or anything, again, it's a big question. Where is the data, actual data? Apart from that, there are a lot of tools they mentioned right now, the processing part. So one major issue challenge for the organization is question of data. Where is the data? This is one of the critical issue. Second one is uh, classification of the data. Because when it comes to the personal data, there are a lot of critical sensitive personal data. The organization generally they collect or store or process. So classification is very tedious job. The manual efforts, it's not really that's great to give the great results. Definitely they have to depend on some kind of a tools or technologies where they can classification of the data. That is also one of the bigger challenge for the organizations. The third one is, even after these two, the third one is basically the right, the lawfulness of the data processing. Particularly before that, the consent management of the users who are actually providing the consent. At the same time, how we are protecting the rights of the users. Again, the PDPL, it is already mentioned that they have certain rights has to be given to the principle, the data principles, what we called, where we know from whom we are actually collecting the data for certain purpose. So this is actually the third. This is a kind of a third level where the consent management and the rights management. This is also one of the area the organizations little struggling to keep up that expectations as per the different data protection laws. Okay, the fourth part is the third party vendors, because again it is connected back to that totally we believe on that the service providers are there and they're taking care of certain element, but how much they are actually complying with this kind of a laws. Because as Mr. Other panelist mentioned, there is a two authorities, because that is something very good. Just for our Indian brothers, I'm just explaining the SIDI, that is a Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority. Because this is SIDI, because you see, they are actually going little ahead because of the Vision 2030. Their Artificial Intelligence Authority is there, right? Under that, and there is another authority, that is NCA. So both are actually taking literally very seriously these kind of things, whether it is a breach notification of 72 hours breach notifications, according to my understanding. Okay, but breach notification is one part of it. The breach happened, how to identify that breach in this kind of a timelines is also kind of regular monitoring has to happen, continuous monitoring has to happen. If there is certain kind of incidents are happening or something, then it is goes to the next level, that is a notification. So these are the five elements I feel needs to be looked at again. One, data localization. The second is the data processing lawfulness, third party vendors, and classification of the data, okay, and monitoring of the any breaches. Okay, so these are the 4-5 issues commonly I observed, noticed while we are working with multiple companies.
Okay. Thank you, Vamsi sir, for that. Would you like to add how QRC is actually, supporting to bridge?
Yeah, we are actually working with some few of the companies where we are implementing various, whether it is a GDPR, whether it is a DPDP or the PDPL, wherein you see it has to start with very systematically. Like first one is because the data protection point, because almost all the protection laws coming up with the two coins. One-sided, it's a privacy. How to implement the privacy, how to protect the privacy of the people information. Second one is the data protection. Okay, there is not much gaps in the data protection point of view, because the reason is a lot of companies have adopted all the security controls, the tools, technologies, how to protect the data, which is they are actually storing. Still, there's not much challenge for that. But the challenge is because the new concept, that is the privacy, it is coming at now everybody is talking about that. That's where normally the point is that the businesses, all the kind of a business, they're looking at this privacy in a recent period because of this different laws are coming out, and the governments are asking to protect the citizens data. That's where the major what our role is to understand the business aspects and identify the different business processes. I mean, like identification of the data. Yes, we use some kind of a tools or the manual process, but the point number one, identification of the business process which are actually collecting the data. The second one is the impact analysis. The third one is we normally check with the stakeholders to understand the impact analysis. Okay, then the further whether it is lawfully, whether it is collecting the data or not. If they are collecting the data, then we will normally review the entire consent, whether the consent, because for example, Saudi, it is mandatory to have the consent in the Arabic and English. Okay, in India it is like a different languages. So there are certain things, and the third the mechanism is the rights protection of the users. So these are the once these 4 to 5 if you are taken, and definitely one more important element is the cross-border transfers, because when I compare the GDPR and DPDP and PDPL, I feel PDPL much more stringent in terms of the data localization aspects. Okay, but however, there are certain approved countries they can transfer the data. When it comes to the India, it is a different, and GDPR different. But I feel the data localization part more stringent in terms of this particular PDPL. So we will look out overall aspects of this, and we will suggest or the recommend what kind of actions the organization is supposed to implement. Okay.
Mr. Vamsi, I just wanted to add one more thing. Since we had a discussion related to NCA as well as Sadaya and other things, for financial sectors, we are having another governance sector called SAMA. So
yes.
SAMA is also supporting us on various initiatives related to finance. So generally, in recent years, if you see Saudi Arabia, technology-driven strategy has led them to become a major player in terms of digital transformations. If you see, it's, as I rightly told you, it is driven from the top in terms of technology. So as per now, the kingdom holds the top spot in the region and ranks 4th globally in the UN's Digital Service Index. So kingdom is moving towards number 1.
Thank you, Asim, for adding that. Vamsi, so you mentioned cross-border, data transfers. Let's talk more on that. I want to ask Mr. Naif. So with PDPL restricting cross-border data transfers without regulatory approval, how should organizations, manage their cloud or third-party vendor relationship? What kind of risk assessments are needed there?
First of all, most of I have to either evaluating the situation. Today, if I'm following on-premise, this question is not valid, like an example. But if yes, I'm going with the cloud. Okay, using cloud in Saudi, most of the cloud provider in Saudi, they are following the regulation in Saudi, especially not in the GCC, like an example. Because of that, they are starting moving to Saudi. One of them, I don't need to bring in the name right now, but some of the highlight, we have to discuss it in the negotiation. If there is any copy, like an example, because of course, today we are following a backup and business continuity plans. So those requirements, sometimes it is impacting the regulation or the policies which is related to the PDPL. Because today, if you are following approach for backup, you have to have a copy outside your area. Okay, if you are required to making the localization in Saudi, so where you will keeping another copy. So in this mechanism, you have to copy in. You have to keeping the copy in. We can say Saudi city wise, not in countries wise. But the best approach usually it is in countries wise. Is there to avoiding if there is any something happen. So from this perspective, usually we are carrying in the negotiation and managing the cloud vendors. usually in the negotiation, we are highlighting all the things which is related to the copies, where is the place of the storing and hosting. You have, like an example, the approvals of Sadaya, if there is any requirement of approvals, because those approvals, it is not required from the business side. It is required from the provider side. So if those available, usually we are doing some extra layers, which is the auditing from our side. We are sending some team to checking the place, which is where the data it will be hosted. If this infrastructure, it is like compliance with the policies and the agreements, if there is any agreement extra or policies extra required, like an example, Sadaya, or like an example, cybersecurity, NSA, which is in Saudi, or sometimes it's required from outside, because as current situation in Mitsubishi, we are following multiple of agreement and regulations. Which is internally regulations and international regulations, and also which is related to Japan, and which is related to Saudi internally, and some of regulations which is related to the market that can supporting the market, which is either Europe or something, and GDPR or whatever. Yes, today PDPL and Sadaya very restricting in the rules, which is related to localization. But can be solved and can be managed with the vendor during the negotiation and before signing the contract. Some of the risks should be maintaining, which is related to the other part of the question. Yes, sometimes we have to making the assessment. One of the assessment, as I mentioned, usually we are putting some extra layer, which is the auditing. So in the auditing, usually, of course, any auditing that you are doing, you are preparing your questionnaires and RAs and those things. So you have to go to the place with your questionnaires and you are checking. To supporting your documents, you have to checking the NSA and Sadaya. One of the points which is highlighted by my colleague Krishna, which is the classification of the data. Today, you are classifying your data. What is the type of your data? If it is like an example, like my experience, health care data and patient information, personal information which is related to the patient. So in this mechanism, you have to preparing your requirement based on that. There is some specs and there is governmental requirement which is linked with the PDPL needs. You have to include it in this risk assessment. If it is required for financial, as mentioned by my colleague Asim, so you have to following, which is Saudi, I think I forget the name, Sama, sorry. You have to following the agreements and the highlights and the regulation from Sama. Of course, if you go to another side, so you have to including this as an assessment. Yes, there is challenges, but the challenges also can be highlighted. Today, if you are preparing your proper plan and strategy and the proper need that you are provided to your team and the stuff in the business, so it will be avoided and it will be considered during the early stages. You will not reach to the high level and the critical risk, which we mentioned in the previous question, which is like an example, penalties once you are there's a violation of the agreements and the policies. So yes, some of the risks, sometimes it is not in our control, like the data leaks. Okay, today you are trying to protect it, but sometimes there is a data leaks, but this is not, I think there is no punch on this as a risk, because this is not in your control. If you are providing the proper needs, like an example, cybersecurity layers and defense and those things, sometimes there is Sadaya requirement, extra Sadaya requirement, or immediate action needed from Sadaya or from another government aspects, which is related to PDPL in limited time. We can consider it as a risk. Sometimes you cannot apply it in the minimal time if you are not preparing for it or you don't have budget for it. So this is which is highlighted, I believe, it is highlighting the part of your questions.
Yeah, thank you for that. That makes it clear.
Mr. Naif, I just wanted to add one more thing. Mashallah, you have explained completely. I just started putting some points. Only one
Mashallah,
point which I just want to highlight is there is NDMO is there, National Data Management Office. We are having NDMO, which publishes like a list of countries with adequate data protection levels. So where we could able to go ahead for key requirements for cross-border data transfers under PDPL. So this NDMO, it gives the list of countries where it Sadaya will evaluate the adequacy of the recipient country's data protection regulations. So we can see that list of countries level and see whether it comes under Sadaya and other things. So that was one point was missing. So I just wanted to add those things. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Asim, for adding this information. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for that, Asim sir. So, Khalid sir, now if I talk about again the startup and SMBs, many small businesses may find PDPL a little daunting due to maybe limited resources. So, what practical advice would you give to startups and SMEs on prioritizing their compliance journey without feeling overwhelmed?
Before this session or after? This session, actually, I'm so thankful to my friends here and brothers. They gave me some insights because I work with corporate, government, semi-governments, and we work on businesses from SMEs until some corporate businesses. And there's so many contradictions in between for the compliance and the importance of compliance. But I believe if I would shortlist the advices, maybe three aspects. Let's say first, don't underestimate the importance of the compliance, because I believe my friends here highlight very clearly the impact. Don't underestimate this impact. And by the way, it's a deal breaker for some deals. It's a deal breaker. The second thing is how to focus on the compliance. Focus with the data that you need, what kind of data that you want to collect, how you want to process it, and how to be transparent with the team. Maybe the last thing, don't kill the fly with Canon. Don't over-engineer things. Things won't be overnight. The compliance won't be throughout the night. So don't over-engineer it. Just take it step by step. Don't underestimate it. So you know the road, you know the destination, and start with the real data that you want to collect and what's the reason of it. Then try to, let's say, transparently communicate with the all stakeholders and shareholders and all subject matters. But it's really a deal breaker in the businesses, SMEs or corporate.
Okay. Makes sense. So, those there are, I think, a few questions in the chat. We have some time to take maybe, one or two questions. So, Mr. Sai Krishna has asked, what is the role of Saudi data and artificial intelligence in relation to the PDPL? Have we covered this, or anything that we can add? Any panelist?
That is actually, I mean, Sai Krishna, right? Okay. So that is the authority, because, even if you look at GDPR or the even DPDP, there is a data protection boards, which is government authorized bodies. They look after the implementation of, this kind of an acts. The similar way, the SD Sadaya is the authority. They are actually part of, they are actually the authority kind of that breach notifications or how the organizations are implementing, and if there are any breaches are happen, like India, there is a certain we have to inform them immediately on the particular hours. So this is the authority in terms of BDP. I think my other brothers can add anything.
Okay, thank you, Vamsi sir, for that. So Mr. Sagar has a couple of queries. If there is a data breach from the digital data, then this law will come in picture. And what is the strategy that must be followed? And whom to report the breaches? DPO, CISO, and what is the penalty?
In Saudi, you have to reporting to Sadaya directly if there is any breach, any breach happen or violation. But there is a limited time. If it is starting maximum, I think 70 hours. If you are checking in the website, 70 to 72 hours.
72.
It is from 48 to 70 hours. But from the digital specs, it is not specified or like an example classified from all the specs. Any breach should be considered and should be reported directly.
Okay.
See, I just would like to add few more things related to these things. Saudi is very strict on this breaching and data breach and other things. So Sadaya, what they have just informed us, if any organizations under Saudi Arabia's PDPL, they are legally required to notify Sadaya immediately, whatever might be the affected data subjects in a timely manner. Either it might be like a personal data usage, or it is like somebody's individual rights, or exposing like customer information or sensitive informations. So those things has been categorized as breach. And if you see in terms of technology, generally many organizations in the region are not fully breach ready. I can able to just give like assessments. It comes like 20, 30 or 40% of the companies have a mature tested incident response plan and other things. So in terms of any breach, always there should be like a cross-functional alignment between IT, legal, compliance. But generally, if you see in terms of organization, there is always a lagging on these stages. Why should we need to report to IT in terms of compliance? So these type of things which are always happen. So breach is very much critical in terms of Saudi rules and regulations.
Okay. Okay. So I see a couple questions regarding the penalty. It's interesting how people want to know what is the penalty. Not sure why, but what is the maximum penalty in terms of value? Anything that we can, add here, panelists?
I think
Yes.
Mr. Naif sir already mentioned it is a 5 millions, 5 millions riyal.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is maximum, Krishna.
It's a
The
maximum.
maximum
Yeah.
is 5 million. It is depend on each case. So already it is mentioned from the beginning. If you are like checking the regulation of Sadaya, you can find any like categorization with them, maybe the limited amount. But it is as a maximum, yes, it is mentioned. It is 5 million. This is which is related to the BDPL.
5 million per case, right?
Yes, it is per case, which is if this is if it is only one situation. But if the situation, it is depend on the situation. If the situation is small, so it will be depend. It will be maybe 1 million, 2 million. But as a maximum, 5 million. Of course, it is not a grouping of cases. If a grouping of cases, I will keep it as a one case, and I will waiting for one penalty.
By the way, from B to B, it's a deal breaker. If there is a breaching, that means the deal is over.
See, actually, in this, they are having like a different violation type. One is like unauthorized disclosure. So they have like penalty up to 1 million Saudi Riyal, whatever like criminal charges or something that is also possible. And if there is like illegal data transfer, so like for that also there is up to 1 million Saudi Riyal, but potential bans is there to enter, re-enter into KSA and other things. And if there is like missed breach notification, then Sadaya, that is comes under Sadaya. So Sadaya has the rights to take whatever the issue they want to do it. So these are all the things various. As Mr. Naik told, there is general violations. It is still up to 5 million Saudi riyals, and if it is repeated, the fine is doubled. The same case like traffic and other things.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I see a lot of questions coming up, but unfortunately, we are, running a little short on time. Miss Aditi is here to, I think, give us a reminder for that.
Yes.
So, with that, thank you so much, all the panelists. Lovely discussion, very informative and very important on, this topic. So, with that, once again, thank you so much. And audience, thank you for keeping it interactive in the chat with all the amazing questions.